Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Evening Show right here on Smash FM here on Thursday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go across to our friends over in the US and of course speak to one of the amazing music artists over there in the US. Of course, she's just had an amazing tour, of course, which I'm continuing as well. Of course, her name's Payton Howie. She joins us right now. Thanks, Payton, for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
No worries. Well, firstly, I know that you've been pretty busy on the road in the last couple of weeks and months. Tell us a bit about your tour that you've been on so far.
Yeah, the tour has been crazy so far. We've been playing a ton of festivals this summer and been all across the country. And the crazy thing is that we're already planning for the next tour in the fall. And the fall tour is going to be even crazier than the summer tour. So I'm just beyond excited. But this summer has probably been the most exciting one yet.
For our listeners here in Melbourne who have no idea where you've actually been to, tell us a couple of the locations that you've been to and have you had a favourite so far?
I play a lot in the Texas area. I play over in California occasionally. I'll play up in Tennessee and Nashville. I've been to Nebraska. We're going to Florida and we're going to be out in Vegas. We're going all over the place, all over the United States. It's going to be a good time. I'd have to say, if I had to pick a favorite, Texas is probably my favorite, just because people have a different kind of appreciation for music out in Texas. But Nashville's good too. Nashville's really fun to be, just so much artistry and music going on there too.
I know that because you've been on these tours so far. So I guess for everyone out there, no idea, I guess, how do you prepare for all these tours?
I think the number one thing that I would do is just kind of like researching where we're going and seeing like the kind of people that I know there. That's like my favorite thing to do is reach out to people in the area that I'm going and be like, hey, we're going on tour, or posting the dates on my social media and be like, hey, you come see us, stuff like that. So just kind of just really like putting that out on my social media platforms like my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever, and making sure that I get to meet everybody that's always been so supportive online and stuff like that. So that's probably my favorite thing to do is get to meet new people out on the road and stuff like that. It's the coolest thing.
Now, currently, you've got your new single, of course, Keep Her Breathing right now. I guess, how's the reactions with your fans going with that?
Honestly, it's become one of my most popular songs, which is great. A lot of people really like that song. We dropped it 4th of July weekend, and it's just really talking about America, talking about the state of America, and talking about where we've been and where we're going, and just like a true American tradition that I think everybody can think of something that that makes them American, whatever that is, that's kind of what Keep Her Breathing is about, is defending the freedoms that our country was built on.
Where was that inspiration or the idea to start writing about this song? How long ago was it, and was there a particular moment in time?
Keep Her Breathing was kind of inspired by my passion, just in my great appreciation for our just love of country. And I know there's tons of people out there that are fighting for our freedoms and going and sacrificing time and sometimes even their lives just to defend the freedoms of our country. And my great grandfather fought in World War II, and I know that he went out there and was dodging bullets and doing all this stuff just to go out there and defend America and defend its people. And that's, I think, is so important today, is to remind the older generations that we haven't forgotten, and to remind the younger generations that there's more people out there like that are just as patriotic as they are.
For me, being over there, of course, you do a fantastic job in regarding to, with the, your Army and Navy, Defence Force, respecting them throughout, especially. I guess, do you think the younger people are respecting the Defence Force and, the people that go out there and fighting wars and all that?
I think that there's a lot of more of the younger generation that people give it credit for. I think a lot of the time people look at the younger generations and think that they don't respect our armed forces or anything like that. And I think there is a lot of disrespect out there. But I know that there's so many young patriots and so many, up and coming like people in the generation that are, you know, like I would say my generation almost, that feel the exact same way, and that feel prideful and have that, you know, patriotic spirit, and respect those that have gone before and fought for our freedoms. And I think there are a lot more out there than people give it credit for.
Following you on Insta, and see what you've been doing and all that sort of thing. So how cool is that to have so many fans? I think you're currently at 10 almost 11,000 followers on Insta. How cool is that? And did you ever thought, when you started being music, that you got to this point?
I honestly, no, I did not think. It's kind of surprising, because as I've been on tour and playing shows and just writing and recording new music, I'm just like got my head down, like focusing, and then just sharing everything that I can on my social platforms, and just seeing the reaction, and seeing like the fan base growing, and seeing just like a family, you know, kind of being created. And like I'm just beyond grateful for anybody that's listening to my music or supporting me on social media and stuff like that, coming out to shows. Like the support is just unbelievably, like it's just unreal. It's so cool to think that people actually like listen, you know, and people actually they enjoy that. And it just, you know, it really satisfies me as an artist to know that I'm able to create something that people connect with and relate with.
I know that you're touring in the US, but are you thinking about going maybe beyond touring in the US, maybe like going overseas to tour?
I'd love to. I think that'd be pretty fun. I haven't yet, but I'd love to. You know, honestly, there's so many places I'd love to go. I've had a couple of friends that have done like the UK tour and stuff like that, and I think that could be super cool. So that'd probably be, I know I have tons of people that have talked to me about going out there. So if I had to go somewhere first, that's probably where I'd go.
Other than your US fans and supporters that you've got over there, is there any other fan base like around the world that you're surprised that you've got so many fans that follow you?
Yeah, there's a ton of fans that I have out in the UK, you know, Australia. A lot of people like even in like, you know, like Ukraine, like stuff like that. People all over, and it's crazy to think that there's people out there like that I've never even met before, like all over the place. And it's just like listening to my music. It's super cool to get to see that.
And what sort of feedback have you been getting from people outside the US about your music?
Honestly, it's been extremely positive, and everyone's always like, you know, especially with the patriotic songs, which is crazy, because I know even people that don't live in the US, they still like understand like what our country's about, and they still understand like what I think our country is going through and what we have gone through. And it's, so I've had nothing but a great response, which is great.
Let's talk a bit about your music journey. Where did it all start, and why did you end up choosing music?
You know, so I started playing music when I was real young. I started teaching myself to play guitar when I was about 14. And I lived in a small town out in Southern California, smaller town. You know, there was like just, you know, bars and honky tonks and whatnot down on Main Street. And I would just go in and I'd start like, you know, watching all these other people playing. And I'd always try to sneak in the back door, and they'd always like, you know, bring me up on stage, and just, they really taught me what it meant to be like an artist besides just playing music. Just they taught me what it meant to really be expressive as an artist. It was really cool. And so I have just a huge appreciation for those people. And when I was really young, they nicknamed me Youngblood, and that's where the title for my EP came from. And so I'll never forget that, how they kind of took me under their wing and taught me almost everything that I know. And from there, I just started writing original music and recording original music. And they just kind of went from there. I started getting to tour across the country, and it's been just going crazy nonstop ever since then.
Have you ever gone back to your hometown to perform music?
Yeah, I've gone back a couple times. I've gone back a couple times this summer. Actually, I went back and I got to play the Temecula Balloon and Wine Festival, which is really cool because I grew up in Temecula, and like that's like one of the largest festivals they have in my hometown. So it was really cool to get to go there, not only be there, but get to play the festival. It was really cool.
Is there any other places now that you're hoping to tick off your bucket list that you haven't been to yet?
Yeah, there's a couple places. I've never been to Florida, so I would love to get to play out there. And we already have dates on the books, so I'm excited about that. And I know we're going out to Georgia too. That's gonna be super cool. I've never got to play in Vegas either, so I'm excited to get to play in Vegas as well. but honestly, I'd love to, just get to travel across the world and, play shows everywhere, Australia, UK. Like, I think it'd be super cool to get to do that.
Okay, so you just mentioned about Australia just a moment ago. So when are you hoping to do that?
I have no real idea, but I'm down whenever. Just let me know. Just let me know.
Have you been getting like fans in Australia, like, when are you coming down here?
I've had people ask, I've had people like, oh, when are you coming out? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'm trying, but like, it ain't as easy as y'all make it seem. That's for sure.
Yeah. Any highlights throughout your music journey?
Definitely. It's almost like a whole new chapter whenever I release a song, or I just released my debut EP in February. It's a 5-song EP. It's like a mini album of sorts. And that was insane to get to think that not only do I have songs out on Spotify, I have a collection, like an EP out there that's like been insane. And so many of my songs have been like put on those editorial Spotify playlists, which has just like been insane for growing my listeners and just expanding my reach with my music. And that's been insane. And we're getting to play a lot of really cool shows this in the summer. We opened for Clay Walker, and that was insane. That's probably one of the coolest shows we've played. And we're getting ready to go on a full band tour very, very soon. I haven't announced it yet, but it's coming out very, very soon this fall. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So what does the music industry mean to you?
I think the music industry has changed so much over the years. And I think it's great that with just the way that social media is evolving and the way that radio is staying, kind of in a way where people can still access it in a way, if that makes sense. Even as an independent artist, you can still have your music played on the radio. Obviously Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. It's very accessible if you're, trying to start out. Like, it's very cool. And I found that those platforms have been really helpful in me growing my music and my fan base, like TikTok, stuff like that, Instagram, Facebook, obviously. And so that's like, I think the music industry has really kind of adapted to all of that evolution of social media and all that, and the streaming platforms. I think they've really kind of adapted to that. And I think it's cool because, things are always going to be changing. Things are always going to be, becoming different and becoming new. So I think it's been really cool that this, like the music industry is accepted kind of more different kinds of aspects of the genre, especially of country music. Like, I'm country rock, and I love taking country music and putting a little bit of a rock twist on it. And so, and I have a huge, I'm hugely inspired by like traditional country music as well. And so I love all those vibes, kind of going back to the roots of country music. And I think it's really cool that the industry of country music allows for all of that.
So you mentioned about your inspiration, especially your genre there of country music. Obviously in the US, there's so many different types of country music over there, and I've experienced it all, from the deep south of Tennessee and their type of country music to, the Texas sort of country music over the West Coast. Is there one to the other that you prefer the most?
No, I mean, honestly, I consider myself to be country rock. So I think what I would, and it's kind of probably, I would say more like that Gretchen Wilson kind of country music, and I love that. Like, I love all kinds of country music, don't get me wrong. But me personally, like, I love that, just kind of rockin' country style, where it's still country, but it's just got a major kick to it. Like, I love that.
What are your future goals? Do you have like future ambitions that you want to get to ultimately?
Yeah, I'd really love to put out an album within the next year. I think that's something that I definitely have in the works. I think that would be super cool. And I've got a couple music videos coming out this year. And obviously I'm excited. My whole goal, I had a goal to do a full band tour, and we're actually making that happen in the fall. So I'm really excited about that. So I think that's going to be just probably one of the highlights of this year.
Just following up from my question about two questions ago, which is, what's the most rewarding thing about being in music? Is it writing? Is it recording? Is it performing? What's the most rewarding to you?
I think, to me personally, I think the most rewarding thing is when you're playing music, whether it's your own song, your original song, or even just, covering a song that people love. I think my favorite thing is getting to connect with people and seeing how they connect with that song, the reactions, and getting to touch people. Because I know nowadays it's so hard to kind of find a universal kind of language. And I think that's like, for me, that's music. Like, I mean, I'm not very good at communicating this and whatnot. So when I'm singing, when I'm performing with songs and whatnot, I think that's the way that I connect best with people. And and I would say it works both ways. Whenever I hear people singing or wherever I hear people sharing original music or whatever, playing my favorite songs, I connect with that person. And so I feel like that's probably the most rewarding thing, is getting to connect with people.
Now, I really ask this question to any music artist, but how important has your family been in this whole journey?
Oh, like super important. Honestly, I couldn't do anything that I do at all without my family. My family's like just like probably my biggest support system, you know, being 20 and you know, traveling across the country and you know, got it doing all the stuff, you know, or not really holding back, you know, putting out original music, putting stuff on the radio, going on tour. And I couldn't do any of it without my family. So I'm just forever grateful for them.
You dream to hopefully play at the Grand Opera in Nashville?
Oh, absolutely. That was definitely one of the goals. That would be so awesome. That one, that and the Ryman, that would be super cool.
Is it? And you mentioned about one of the inspirational artists that that you want to you know, emulate. Is there any other that inspires you? Is there one or even a mentor?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, I love Gretchen Wilson. I love Reba. I think Reba's got a great storyteller kind of a vibe to her. I love her as well. I really love Miranda Lambert, you know, Loretta Lynn. I think they really got like a you know, kind of more of a country grit, you know, and a little bit of attitude. So I think that's kind of my style for sure.
Have you ever met any of them or reached out to any of them?
No, I never have, but I think that would be super cool to get to, you know, meet them or sing with them one day. That'd be probably the coolest thing ever.
And what would be your advice to people that should get involved in the music scene and, you know, start to write, record and play music? What would be your advice to them?
I would say like connecting with people is the most important thing, because obviously no matter how good you are or how good anybody is, there's always going to be someone that can either sing better than you or play better than you. And so that's like the number one thing that people remember about you, is how you connect with them, I think. And that's, you know, kind of something that I feel like with myself is I don't feel like I have to be the best singer in the world. I don't feel like I have to be the best, you know, guitar player or whatever. I feel like I just have to write music that people relate to, and I have to write music that people can just, you know, vibe with, you know, play in their car when they're, you know, driving down the road with the windows down. Like, I feel like if I do that, then I'm succeeding. And that's my goal, is just to make people feel something. So I think if you make people feel something, that's how they're going to connect with you. You don't have to always be the best, you know?
Finish up a couple of light-hearted questions then, which is any embarrassing moments on stage?
Embarrassing moments on stage. Well, I'll say probably one of the most embarrassing things that can ever happen to anybody on stage is forgetting words. But I'll say, and then it's just kind of funny, especially when you're sitting up there with the band and you look over and your guitar player is like looking at you and you're looking back and you're like, I don't know, man. And it's like the worst part is when it's like a song that you've sang a million times and you're like, I've sang this, I wrote the song. Like, you know, it's like, I wrote the song. Why can't I remember what I'm trying to say? It's just, that's probably got to be one of the worst, because it's like an original and you're like, wait a minute, I wrote that. How did I forget it? But sometimes you're playing shows and you just get so excited and you get amped up and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be thinking about that, you know?
Okay, well, you pretty much just answered my next question, which is, have you ever forgotten a lyric to a song?
Oh, yeah, many times before. Not so much anymore, but in the past, I've done that a lot.
Okay, so how have you managed to cover it up?
You know, I'll say the cool thing is if you just kind of like laugh it off and don't act too embarrassed about it, people are just like, oh yeah, whatever, it's cool. You know, you just kind of laugh it off. You just got to be chill about it. Just be like, oh, whoops, you know, something like that. Like, just kind of let it go. If you get upset about it, then people are going to be like, oh man, that wasn't very good. But if you just kind of like laugh it off and just carry on, keep going, and then crush the rest of the song, everyone will be fine.
What are your pre-performance superstition or ritual, if any?
You know, I would say I don't have a lot of crazy ones, but you know, one thing that I absolutely do all the time is I always have like a bottle of honey with me, and I'll just like pour it like the whole thing. And I'm not even a huge fan of I'm not a huge fan of honey, but I'll like pour it down my throat, just kind of like coat those vocal cords. Or I'm a huge energy drink fan, and this is totally contradicting because energy drinks are not very good for your vocal cords, but and I'll take a big chug of like an energy drink, and then you just hop on stage and just got to get the energy flowing,
Is there any favorite, energy drink that you use?
Yes. Bang is my favorite. I love Bang. Bang is top notch.
Okay.
You're like, I don't agree.
Well, I haven't tried it, so I'm
You never tried
interested.
it?
No, I'm actually interested. I don't think we've actually got it over here. So I might have to try it when I'm over the USA later this year. So
You definitely will have to try it. It's so good.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. We mentioned about your latest one, which is Keep Her Breathing. Is there one particular song that you've got on that you've wrote that stands out to you?
Honestly, I wouldn't say that there's one song that sticks out to me more than the other, just because each song that I've ever put out, whether it's, Keep Her Breathing or Never Go Home or whatever, I feel like every song means something to me. And I each one is from the bottom of my heart, whether it's, talking about, hey, like we're going to go party, live it up, never go home, or, talking about Keep Her Breathing, which is a little more serious. I don't think there's one in particular that sticks out to me the most, but because I definitely, I love, and it's almost like your kids, like you write a song, it's like your child. So I don't love one more than the other, but I definitely feel all of them equally, for sure.
And is there any strange music requests that you got from your fans while performing?
I think, I don't know if there's necessarily a strange one, a strange one. I've had some weird songs, and most of the time it's like I've never heard of them. It's like, that's kind of weird. I'll get a lot of time people will be like, oh, play Old Town Road. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I'll never play that song ever. And not because it's just like, okay, I don't know. I don't even know if I can ever pull that off. Not to mention another weird thing that people do is like, they'll come up to you and be like, hey, can you play this song? And I've never heard of it. And they're like, oh no, you've heard of it. And then they start singing it, like thinking it's going to jog your memory. I'm like, nope, still never heard it. And then like sitting there, like serenading you. That's like, dude, no offense, but I've never heard that song, and you singing it is just making it worse. I've never heard it.
Okay, so I know the song Old Town Road pretty well. So how many times have that been asked? And have you now remembered that song?
No, I've never learned that song. I know the song, I know it, like I've heard it, but I've never learned to play it, just because if someone asks me to play it, I want to be able to honestly say, no, I don't know it. I don't want to be like, yes, I know it, and I'm not going to play it, because I don't ever want to tell anybody no, especially if I know it. But I've purposely not learned it, so I'll never have to play it.
Ah, okay. There you go. All right. So final two, which is for anyone that should follow your music, how can I go about it?
My music's everywhere. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, all that stuff. Like any place you can think of, it's there. And you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, anything. TikTok, I got all of it. Payton Howie, PaytonHowie.
You mentioned about your favorite location, and which is Texas, that you've performed. Is there any part of Texas in particular that you love performing?
Yeah, my family is, we're in the Houston area, so I spend a lot of time with my family out there. And so I've got quite a few friends and family out in the Houston area. And people really get down, people really get down out here. So that's probably got to be my favorite place.
But Payton, thank you so much for getting up some of your time to join us. It's awesome having you on the show. We've been waiting to do this for a year and a half now. So it's awesome to have you on, and can't wait to hopefully get to come over in the US later this year to hopefully get to see you perform, and can't wait to see more of your music coming up soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
No worries. And that's Payton Howie there. Of course, join us there. Of course, as she mentioned, you can follow her on social media. Of course, you can download her amazing single at the moment, Keep Her Breathing, which is out right now, of course, on your favorite streaming services. There's more on the Smash Evening Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.